Well, thank you, Professor Young. Let me acknowledge all of the contributing authors, Peter Dean, Andrew Carr, Stephen Fruehling, Brendan Taylor particularly, from the Strategic and Defence Studies Centre here at ANU, and all of the other authors that have made such a great contribution to what is, in the brief time that I've had to glance through it and ascertain that I really need to sit down, as Brendan has suggested on the back page, and read this very carefully and closely. So, looking through the book, I came to the conclusion, reading particularly Russell Trude's article, that the debate about defence is one of the best and most essential elements that actually makes a significant contribution to the way we go forward in planning, resourcing and understanding defence. Russell quite rightly suggests that this part of the discussion as to what platforms we'll choose, what strategies we'll occupy, what priorities we'll identify going forward, are very much something that flavours the way democratically elected political representatives deal with these important subjects, because they then become subject to the vulnerabilities of politics. One of the things that I seek to do is to try and take those vulnerabilities out so that we have some semblance of objectivity in the space. I think, given the discussion recently about submarines, shipbuilding and other things, my hopes are a little forlorn. However, the most telling commentary that I got from Russell's article: persistent policy failure is corrosive of morale and confidence both inside and outside defence. And so one of the principal tasks that I think the government has is firstly to minimise those failures. I think it's fair to say that unless we are pushing the envelope and are actually having some shortcomings, we aren't doing our job. Now, that's a very bold statement, but I think there's a lot in that when we're talking particularly about developmental programs, high technology outputs and things of that nature. So, looking recently over history and putting this book into the context of where we have been, and may I say, where we are about to go this weekend and beyond, it's very, very timely to cross-reference the talk of strategy, resourcing, and all of the matters that are so vital to defence: the planning, the white papers, the force structure. Contrary to public opinion, everybody thinks we are out of Afghanistan. We still have 400 uniformed personnel in that country, providing a vital substrata of expertise, experience and knowledge. We continue to mentor approximately 400,000 security personnel, Indigenous Afghanis, who are sustaining about 3,000 casualties every year. They are conducting now their own fight. This is of great credit to them, and may I say a great credit to ISAF for having brought them forward to this point. So they are fighting their own fight. I was there last month and spoke to our people while I was there. This is a very, very critical time for that country. And ISAF has said, we've had enough and we're going to leave at the end of 2016. That, in my opinion, is an extremely debatable proposition. And indeed, recent history in so many of these Middle Eastern countries says that you would need to be very, very careful in wanting to get out too soon. So then I was last week in Baghdad, and sitting in the Australian Embassy in Baghdad, enjoying the company of our mission, our ambassador and our personnel, our defence attaché, hearing the sounds of vehicle-borne IEDs in the outer suburbs of Baghdad, brought home to me that in many respects the example we now have in Iraq is what happens when you do not finish the job properly. We do have to go back and finish that job, may I say. We do have to go back and finish that job, and you will hear much more from the Prime Minister about that tomorrow and in the days to come. But can I say that with all of the discussion in this wonderful book about capability, about planning, about strategy, when I see our people, our 600 people in our Minhad base, comprising about 200 special forces and 400 air crew and sustainers, can I tell you we should all be extremely proud of them. They are probably amongst the best trained personnel in the world, and their spirit and morale is extremely high, and they have quite exotic skills which they will apply to all of our best interests. Adjoining the actual uniforms who will be doing important military things for us is a group of people that tonight I wanted to mention to you, which has been mentioned in passing by most of the authors in this book. Our defence attachés perform an absolutely amazing task, and the advantage to Australia of defence attachés is that they are below the radar. So our military-to-military relationships are not there on the front page of newspapers, are not there on the nightly news. They bring back to Australia an understanding of the way, not just in our neighbourhood, but more broadly in places where we are taking grave risks, an understanding of the military capacity of our friends and their understanding of those who would seek to do us harm. And so at Staff College and ADFA we have a very broad selection of personnel from Iraq, Pakistan, the Emirates, and so on and so forth. My ambition, of course, is to get as many Afghanis along as I possibly can so that we can continue the cycle of enhancing and improving their security forces. Again, as a context of what the military can and has achieved recently is the deployment of more than 200 personnel to Western and Eastern Europe when MH17 was shot out of the sky by an SA-11 surface to